Headlines most affecting Chilliwack this week. As Premier David Eby was back in town stumping for local MLAs, BC United stops their campaign. A 20-year-old Chilliwack cold case is uncovered in Ontario. Allowable rent increases won't be as much as last year. And hockey season starts with the Jets hitting the ice. We'll have that in sports. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. A political bombshell, if there ever was one. BC United leader Kevin Falcon, who came back to politics to change the BC Liberals' name to BC United and then try to lead them back to Victoria, suspended the entire party's bid for the October 19th provincial election. BCU has been trailing badly behind the Conservatives and the NDP in the polls. Now, CBC is reporting that BCU candidates can now side with Conservatives in the October vote. Some may run as Conservatives, some may not. Now, many BCU MLAs were apparently taken by surprise, and reports that Falcon was not even answering his phone after this announcement was made. The news came as Premier David Eby was in Chilliwack for media scrums. Now, City News 1130 reporting that Hamish Telford, who is a poli-sci university professor at UFE, said, and I'm quote, "I'm surprised about the timing of the move. Frankly, I have never seen anything in my lifetime like this since I've been studying politics." Now, the Green Party remains in the running for now, and for Chilliwack, that means candidate Sue Knott and Dr. David Moniz can return to private practice. For the Fraser-Nicola region, Jackie Tiggart is now back in the private sector. Now, Premier Eby was in town for a meet and greet, and the election campaign rolls along now somewhat for the October 19th vote. This was at Vetter Rotary Trail. Here's a sample of some of his comments.
Mr. Premier, the obvious question on this day, your reaction to the word that the BC United Party is suspending their campaign?
Well, we'll see what happens. This has been already a very eventful and confusing campaign among everyone who used to be a BC Liberal and what they're going to call their party and who they're going to run with. We know that they're the same people that for 16 years increased costs for British Columbians. User fees, MSP, tolls on bridges, they cut healthcare, cut services people depended on, and they did produce results. The last 2 years of their government was 73% lower in terms of direct investment in our province than the last 2 years of our government here. We have the second lowest unemployment rate in Canada. We're really building the housing that we need. Rents are finally starting to come down. People are connecting with family doctors. We can't afford to give up that work. And whatever they call themselves when they're running in the next election, we know what their plans are because they've done it before. Cutting, longer wait times, more expensive life for British Columbians.
The remains of a woman found almost 20 years ago in Rockwood, Ontario have been identified. Now, Rockwood is northeast of Guelph. Wellington County OPP say the remains are that of 41-year-old Tammy Penner of Chilliwack. She was identified through the use of genetic genealogy. Now, police used presumptive ID in April to locate living family members, and a DNA sample from one of those family members used to confirm the identity. Now, her remains were first discovered by a person walking along a picnic area along Highway 7 in Guelph. Now, this is northwest of Toronto. This was back in 2005. She was found covered in the woods, in a sleeping bag in the woods, wearing clothes that were determined to have been bought in Montreal. Now, investigators are still trying to determine the cause of death. They are treating the case as suspicious. The fall transit schedule kicks in after Labor Day. That means service adjustments, including extra routes to connect with schools in UFE. The Cultus Lake bus, that retires for the season. And drivers, remember that the school zones go back into effect Monday to Friday from 7:30 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. The province is tying allowable rent increases in 2025 to inflation at 3%. That is down from last year at 3.5%. The maximum allowable rent increase for 2025 cannot take place until January the 1st. Government policy prior to 2018 allowed for an additional 2% rent increase on top of inflation, costing the average BC family hundreds of dollars in additional rent.
Hey folks, I'm at Central Elementary in beautiful downtown Chilliwack, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the investments our government is making in education, and in particular permanent learning spaces. Right here in Chilliwack, we just got a new addition to Sardis Secondary to create more learning spaces there. Since our government's been in power, we've added permanent learning spaces to Promontory Elementary School, made a new high school, Imagine High. We've also built middle school down by the Vetter called Stitos. Coming up very shortly, we will have another edition, but at AD Rundle, creating more permanent learning spaces for children all over Chilliwack, and we're doing the same work all across the province.
Hi, I'm Kelli Paddon, your MLA for Chilliwack-Kent, and this summer I've been answering questions from you, but today is a very special day. I get questions all the time about services for seniors and especially long-term care. So who better to be with on this incredible day where we have announced a brand new Bradley Centre for Chilliwack and surrounding areas. Very, very excited to see 200 beds that will offer care and dignity and choice to seniors as they age in Chilliwack and Kent, as well as a day program. And without further ado, the Minister of Health, Adrian.
It's great to be in Chilliwack today with Kelli, who's been a fierce advocate for this project. 200 new long-term care beds coming to Chilliwack. Why is that important? Because we have an aging population, and everyone knows Chilliwack is growing and growing dramatically. So we have to address that. These long-term care beds will be single-bed rooms. They'll allow people living in long-term care who face significant health challenges, or they would be in long-term care, to live better, to live their best lives. It combines with other things we've done, and I'll just tell you that here in Chilliwack, with this project, which is a $274 million project, we're spending about 17 times as much in Chilliwack on long-term care than the previous government did in the whole province in the 10 years before I became Minister of Health. And across the province, that's $3.1 billion against $17 million. We're building long-term care here, in Abbotsford, in Delta, in Surrey, across Fraser Health, and across British Columbia. And that's an important thing, because we need that. We need that for our communities, for our seniors, for our families, and for each other.
I am so proud to be part of a government that understands the importance of choice, of investing in Chilliwack, and of taking care of seniors. Thank you so much, Minister Dix, for being here and sharing this fantastic news. If you have a question for me, feel free to send it in, and maybe I'll be featuring your question next.
A number of sections of the Vetter Rotary Trail will be closed until October for provincial flood recovery work. This $13 million project is being carried out by the province. It aims to enhance flood protection along the Vetter River. So partial closures include the Great Blue Heron Reserve, number 3 parking lot, the Vetter parking lot, Peach Park and its parking lot, as well as Brown Road. And for your safety, visitors and residents are asked to obey all posted signs and please don't park on private property. Federal money on the way for Harrison and Hope and water infrastructure upgrades. So for Harrison, the Highway 9 Storm Sewer Infrastructure Project, that will provide upgrades to stormwater infrastructure, increasing the capacity to treat and manage stormwater and help prevent future flooding. The province is spending $708,000 for the project, $800,000 coming from the feds, $566,000 from the municipality. For Hope, $850,000 in federal dollars for their water utility amalgamation project. That will rehabilitate a water storage reservoir and construct a booster station to enhance water access as well as to help out firefighting capabilities. Prest Road between Bailey and McGuire now completely closed until September the 11th. A detour now in place. Only local traffic gets through. Follow the detour signage and the directions from flaggers. The culvert crossing inception ditch on Prest Road has to be replaced because of age and basically to accommodate the future of Prest Road widening. Coming up, it's Hockey Night in Chilliwack. We'll have more in sports in just a moment. chillTV Sports Chilliwack Jets Junior A season has started, winning their first 3 games of the exhibition schedule. The Jets are looking also for volunteers for game day and team personnel positions, as well as billets. They're needed for players. If your family's interested, contact the Jets through their website. Jason Caux kept the UFE Cascades net empty. Kevin Mayland and Eby got on the score sheet to see that the UFE Cascades men's soccer team finish off the weekend sweep with UNBC Timberwolves. That was at Rotary Stadium, winning 2-0 and 4-1. The Cascades head on the road for a pair of matches this coming weekend against UBC Okanagan on Friday and Thompson Rivers on Saturday. The games are scheduled for 6:30 and 7 respectively, and they are streamed live on Canada West TV. It's the third annual game for Valley football bragging rights and a regular season BCFC game that actually does count on the standings. And the Langley Rams beat up on the Valley Huskers 27-8 in the Cascade Cup. That was in Langley. Now the Huskers dropped to 2-3. Valley now has the bye on August 31st. Their next game is September the 7th, hosting Prince George. Last weekend's races at Agassiz Speedway were rained out. Next up, September the 7th, with the Fred Renhard Senior Open Wheel Classic. Information can be found on the Agassiz Speedway social media. Coming up, Cari with the weather. chillTV weekend weather. So, Cari, is the long weekend going to be a good weather weekend?
Hey Fraser Valley, our gardens have been watered, the grass is back green, they are lifting the fire ban this evening, and the sun is coming back. For the foreseeable future, we're going to be in the mid to high 20s. A little chilly in the evenings, between 12 and 15 degrees, so don't forget your sweaters. But this long weekend, nothing but sunshine. Here's a fun fact for you. Canada and the United States celebrate Labor Day in September, but the 60 odd other countries that do it, it usually happens in May, for May 1st, International Workers' Day. Have a great long weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Back to you, Don.
Thanks, Cari, and thank you for watching. If you have a local news story you'd like us to report on, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. Thanks for watching. Have a great long weekend. Remember, school zones are in effect next week. I'm Don Lehn.